family's baseball family. My uncle played at Kentucky from '88 to '91. Was an All-American there, outfielder. And then my dad was there from '91 to '94. So I think I kind of grew up, around the game, at least talking about it, hitting in the yard, whatever the case may have been. Small town Kentucky, football was kind of the main sport there. So grew up absolutely loving baseball. That was kind of my number one, but also when football was in season, I enjoyed it a lot too. It kind of gave me a break from, having to do baseball all year round. So I think I started when I was 3 or 4, just kind of hitting around and messing around. And then after that, the more I kind of, I picked up a bat or a golf club or something I could swing, and I just go out and hit in the yard for hours, So that's kind of when it started, was when I was really young. As I got older, I kept working on it, Dad went, obviously played at Kentucky, and so did my uncle, so I had a lot of information that, kind of helped me where it may have not helped other kids, obviously having that at home. So I think I became real serious with it, probably Little League. I think that's, when everybody's old enough to kind of understand, maybe I want to do this for a long time. So I always played baseball growing up, but I always played football growing up as well. Corbin Redhounds as a high school football team, so you kind of grow up, you always want to be a Redhound football player. So I kind of took that as, going into high school, I did want to play football a lot, but that was, my high school coach kind of convinced me to keep playing football. I kind of wanted to stop and focus on baseball, and I'm very thankful that he kept me in football. I think it's a good break. Baseball all year round is tough on the body, tough on the mind. So I think playing football for him, you gain a lot of athleticism. Football is a completely different game than baseball, so I think it taught me a lot about toughness, a lot about learning other positions. I played quarterback, played running back, played receiver, so I had to understand where everybody else on the field was doing. So I think I take that, carry that over into baseball, playing multiple positions and knowing my teammates. So there's a lot of lessons I learned playing both. I kind of took on the challenge of me and a few of the other kids that were really good at baseball as well. Took that on as like, hey, let's see what kind of exposure we can bring to the baseball program. I was blessed. Our little league is very strong. We have Jeff Chadwell is not the name of the guy that runs it, and he does a lot for the league. C. Brett was a middle school coach, and then Coach Philpott was a high school coach. And I think seeing all the work they put in, that kind of didn't really rival football, in the way of how many people may have came. So I think I kind of took that as like, hey, you know what, like I play both and I see how serious everybody takes football. Like, why not, let's be good at baseball as well. So I've got a group of best friends that I grew up playing with since, we stayed together from Little League until high school. And we just became best friends and had a big senior class that all played both sports. So I think that kind of having that friendship and having those bonds and getting to know coaches. So I think, hopefully now Corbin's getting a little bit more recognition for baseball as a baseball coach. Did just as much work as any other coach did. So, I started taking it serious around middle school and just kind of ran with it from there. My family and the people where I'm from, it's just, God, family, country, and you're humble after that. So I never tried to compare myself to anybody else. I just knew that whatever I was doing behind closed doors that nobody saw would, pay off at some point. And so I never wanted to say I'm better than somebody else. My skill set's completely different than any player on our team, and I'm no better than they are. They're no better than I am. So I think, I tried not to ever fall into that trap. I just did a bunch of extra work, and obviously I knew that I was blessed with the information from the family, I had that was so knowledgeable about baseball anyway. Like my uncle owns a facility in Indiana he runs in, thousands, millions of kids a year that want to train there or hit there before games or whatever the case may be. So I just knew I had more of a mental and informational advantage, more than I did physical. I was just like any other kid. I wasn't big, I wasn't strong. I definitely was not fast. So, I just kept my head down and continued to work. And I think once colleges started to reach out and kind of having that dialogue, that I was like, you know what? That was when I kind of started to want to take it serious. And I knew that if I wanted to go to a college program, it's a lot more serious and there's a lot of talented players that are going to also be wherever I choose to go. So I just knew from there, that's when I really need to start taking it serious in terms of, how lifting and all the extra stuff and the baseball. So I think I just wanted to get better every day. And I think, the biggest part for me was my dad and my uncle and all these people were like, baseball is a game of failure. And I think that's where, some of the kids may be lost in it is you hit 3 out of 10 times you're in the Hall of Fame. That's hard to grasp. I knew what was asked of me coming in and knew what failure was and how to determine like what was necessarily failure and what was success. Like I can hit a ball as hard as I want. That's success. That's not failure, whether I'm out or not. So I think they helped me a bunch in terms of kind of translating game numbers maybe into success versus failure, and I kind of knew how to handle it. So that helped, I think, a lot. The mental part of handling the failure is kind of the part that weeds a lot of kids out to go play other sports, and that's kind of why I love it as well. Like I learned a lot about myself, failure, success, whatever the case may be, and how to handle it, and kind of turn it into life situation. Someday like I'm going to be done with baseball, and I'm going to have things in life that go wrong that I'm going to have to work through. And I think that's one of the biggest things about baseball and biggest qualities I can take from it is just kind of how to understand failure and what it really means. It is tough to stay even-keeled, and I know there's times where I've lost my temper and got super frustrated because I think everybody here knows, how hard the players work and want to succeed, and, whether the results are there or not, you kind of just have to keep working. So I think knowing that, at some point it was going to turn around, I think it's just one of those things of understanding that you can help the team in ways, whether you're a 4 for 4, 0 for 4, and that there's value you may add, whether you're struggling or whether you're playing really well, hitting wise, I guess. So slow start, I just kind of knew it would turn around at some point. There was a lot of things I was doing right in the box, it just, hitting balls right at people, swinging at good pitches. You can't really determine where the ball goes once you swing. So I think just knowing that and kind of knowing that keeping a good head on your shoulders, it's a lot easier to work through things. I think the second I get really negative, I tend to lose a lot of the lessons that I pick up on with a different mindset. So I think that as we all in the dugout together, we're all kind of fighting the same battle, and I think that whether you think it's kind of just you going through it, it's not always just you. Whether you may think that or not. Baseball is very much an individual game, but it always ends up being a team game. We have to throw, we have to pitch, we have to throw strikes, we have to hit, we have to score runs to win the game, and it's kind of everybody's got to be tugging on the same string. So I think that I kind of paid more attention to that than maybe the numbers and how that home run kind of helped me, maybe break out or whatever, whatever you want to say. I think it was just like I have a group of guys here that kind of have my back, whether it's vocalized every day or not. And I hope they think that, and see that I have theirs just as much, if not more, if I can. So it was really cool, and obviously it made me appreciate the relationships you make along the way that you may not realize till you're in kind of in a rough spot. I've kind of got the confidence back. My teammates help with that. We've got as dangerous a lineup as anybody in the league, and I think everybody has that mindset. We kind of talk a lot about that. It's just like whatever it takes to win. The personal stats will take care of themselves after we help each other out. If the hits keep coming, they do, and if they don't, as long as the Cyclones keep winning, that's about all I can do.